Hi guys, try not to get scared by 3 and we're going to watch a video short me a laugh so get a snack and let's go.
These are scary urban legends in each state, part 4. Up first is La Mala Hora. La Mala Hora is located in New Mexico and is a very scary and dangerous demonic spirit. She walks around lonely roads after midnight and terrorizes those who travel alone. People who have seen her say she appears as a large black lump, constantly moving and changing shape. But the scariest part about La Mala Hora is that anyone who lays eyes on her will be driven completely insane. She tries to hypnotize and paralyze anyone who encounters her. Some people even believe the devil himself is scared of La Mala Hora. People who live in New Mexico also say that she really never appears in human form, but if she does, it means somebody you know or yourself is going to die soon. So if you live in New Mexico, I feel bad for you. These are scary. This is what sleep paralysis looks like. Okay, so we all know what sleep paralysis is, and we all hope we will never experience it. But this video I'm going to show you shows exactly what sleep paralysis looks like. If this ever happened to me, I would be absolutely terrified. This is what sleep paralysis. These are famous cartoon characters based off real people, part 1. Up first is Popeye. This spinach-munching, fist-fighting sailor from our childhood is no doubt a famous cartoon character. This is the scary story about the worst night. There was a man named Jim who was walking around the city he lived in one night when suddenly a man stopped him for directions. Jim happily gave the man directions and kept walking, when suddenly something hit Jim in the back of the head, causing him to be knocked out. Jim then woke up completely naked, in a bathtub full of ice, in an unfamiliar hotel room in a lot of pain. He then noticed a phone and a note on the tub that read, "Call 911 if you want to survive." When the paramedics arrived, they knew exactly what happened. They told Jim that one of his kidneys was taken, and that there was a ring of organ thieves who sell them on the dark web. To this day, Jim is on a life support machine, waiting for a new kidney. This is the scary story about the worst night. This is how long different animals could hold their breath, part 1. Up first is an anaconda. These are gut-wrenching facts, part 2. Up first, Elizabeth Bathory was considered the most murderous woman in history. She murdered hundreds of young girls and women. She took baths in virgin's blood to stay young. This is absolutely disturbing and chilling. Next up, actress Angelina Jolie once tried to hire a hitman to kill herself because she felt a murder could be easier on her family instead of her committing suicide. The hitman actually talked her out of it by asking her to wait a month. Finally, 166,000 people die per day, which is honestly insane. But by the time you just finished hearing me say that, 19 people have already died. So whatever you do, never take your life for granted, because it could end at any second. These are gut-wrenching facts. These are serial killers that are now free, part 2. Up first is Arn. This is the creepy story about Smiley Face. One night a girl was at a nightclub with her friends. She was drinking and dancing all night. Her and her friends decided to leave around 3 in the morning. She said goodbye to her friends and started to go home. She couldn't get a taxi, so she walked home. On the way home, she had to pass a park. It was very dark. All she could hear was her shoes clacking against the road. She thought she saw somebody moving in the bushes, so she quickened her pace. Suddenly, a man behind a bush jumped out and blocked her path. His face was hideous. The girl tried to run, but he cornered her and grabbed her arms. The girl was screaming for her life and was begging him to let her go. But the man's deformed face twisted into a creepy grin. The man said, "Do you want death or smiley face?" She cried out, "Please just let me go." Then the man said death or smiley face again. The girl didn't know what he meant, so she replied smiley face. Then the man pulled out a knife and sliced the girl's corners of her mouth all the way up to her ears. Now she had the same deformed smile as the man. This is the creepy story. These are banned drinks around the world, part 2. Up first is Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew is banned in Japan because it contained a flame retardant. Japan is actually kind of lucky because personally, I don't think Mountain Dew is even that good. Next up is Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is banned in Russia. This happened because Russia invaded Ukraine and Coca-Cola decided to stop selling in Russia. This sucks for Russians because Coca-Cola is so good. Next up is Sprite. Sprite is banned in Belgium because a total of 50 people were suffering from nausea after drinking it. I drank Sprite many times and I never experienced this, so I think Belgium banned a good drink for no reason. These are banned drinks. These are scary games you should never play alone, part 4. This game is called Rakunini, or also known as the love game. This game allows you to contact an evil spirit who will then find out if somebody is in love with you. And if that person rejects you, Rokunini will kill them. To begin, you have to get a leaf and tear it down the middle, and make sure each half is the same size. Next up, take one half of the leaf and put it in one hand and then the other half in the other. Then you have to repeat the following. Tell me, Rokunini. Tell me if she loves me. Tell me, tell me, tell me. After you say this chant 3 times, tear both halves of the leaf in half. And if all 4 pieces are the same, it means that the person you like hates you. But if they are different sizes, it means they love you. Rokunini will then kill the person who doesn't like you in a very gruesome way. So if you want to find out if somebody loves you, just play this game. These are scary games you should never... These are facts that'll ruin your day, part 1. Up first, in France, it is legal to marry a dead person, as long as they had the intention of marrying you while they were alive. I don't know how I feel about this, because how could people believe that the person wanted to marry you when they're dead? Next up, during the grand opening of the Great Pyramid of Tenochtitlan in 1487, the Aztecs sacrificed 84,000 people. This is how dead celebrities would look if they were still alive, part 1. Up first is Elvis Presley. The king of rock and roll passed away on August 16th, 1977, at the age of just 42. If he was still alive today, he would be 87 years old and look just like that. Up next is Kurt Cobain. He was the lead singer of the band Nirvana and is considered one of the greatest rock artists of the 1990s. Kurt Cobain passed away on April 5th, 1994 at the age of 27. If he was alive today, he would be 53 years old and look like that. This is how dead celebrities... This is the scary story about the secret room. These are banned drinks around the world, part 1. Up first is Pepsi. In 2006, Pepsi was banned in India because pesticides were found in the drinks produced by the Indian Arms. So, if you live in India and you want Pepsi, I recommend just getting Coca-Cola. Next up are Four Locos. In 2010, Canada banned Four Locos because the drink is mixed with caffeine and alcohol, which is a very dangerous combo. This is kinda good for Canada because Four Locos are absolutely garbage. Up next is Monster Energy. Monster Energy was banned in Ireland in 2021 because they believe the drink is way too addictive, which actually might be true. Then again, Monster Energy really isn't that good, and Red Bull is way better. These are banned drinks around. These are the creepiest things kids have ever said to their parents. One day, a mother was walking around with her 3-year-old son when they walked past a cemetery. The little boy then looked at his mother and said, "My brother is in there." The mother then told him that he didn't have a brother, and he then said, "No, Mama," from before, when the other lady was my mommy. This is absolutely frightening, and I don't know what I would do if my son said this to me. Next up, a mother got into a car crash with her 4-year-old daughter, and when they got to the hospital, the daughter looked at her mother and said, "You have to thank the big guys." The mom looked at her with a very confused look on her face and said, "What do you mean by the big guys?" The daughter then said when it got loud and scary, the big men hugged her and kept her safe. The scariest part about all of this is that the daughter did not have a scratch on her, meaning there was actually a spirit there protecting her. This is why you should never get an Alexa. Okay, so we all know how convenient Alexas are, but we also know how creepy they are. Sometimes Alexas just say some random creepy stuff that really makes your stomach turn. But this video I'm about to show you shows why you should never have an Alexa. Just imagine this happening to you.
A deliberate attempt to contact the spirit of a deceased person is known as a seance. I have a skill you might like. Want to try it?
Whoa.
This is a scary story about the roommates. There were two roommates named Tony and Drew. They were good friends, but they weren't best friends. One night, Tony brought a girl back to the apartment, but it just wasn't any girl. It was Drew's crush. Tony snuck her in as Drew pretended he didn't see or hear them. Drew sat there imagining what they could be doing, and it was driving him crazy. These are things you didn't know were banned, part 1. Up first is spanking your kid. This is banned in over 50 countries, which kind of makes sense. But what's even crazier, in the United States, this is completely legal in every single state. Next up is gambling. Gambling is banned in over 10 countries for being immoral or addictive. Gambling is definitely extremely addictive and can ruin someone's life very quickly. These are serial killers that are now free, part 1. Up first is Issei Sagawa. Issei Sagawa is a Japanese murderer and cannibal who is known for killing Renée Hartfelt in Paris in 1981. He murdered her and then mutilated her body, and then proceeded to eat her entire body over 3 days. But due to loopholes in the law, Issei Sagawa is now a free man and lives in Tokyo roaming the streets just like you. Up next is Pedro Lopez, and he's a Colombian serial killer who was found guilty of 110 murders, but he claimed to have raped and killed more than 300 girls across Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador. He might be one of the worst serial killers ever. These are the scariest things astronauts have ever said, part. These are things you didn't know were illegal, part 2. Up first is spitting. In states and cities around the country, including Massachusetts, New York City, and Dodge City in Kansas, it's illegal to spit on sidewalks or in public. They do this to stop the spread of diseases, and it's kind of smart if you think about it. Next up is sitting on a sidewalk. We have all done this at least once in our lives, but did you know about 53% of American cities have laws against sitting or lying down in public? So next time you catch yourself sitting on a sidewalk, just remember you could actually get in trouble for it. Finally is throwing away an old phone. Everybody who has ever owned a phone threw away one, meaning we all have done this. But this is implemented to avoid the electronic toxins entering the landfills. So next time you're about to throw away a phone, just... This is a scary story about the figure. One night, a woman named Jill was doing the dishes in her kitchen when she suddenly noticed a figure standing outside the window in her backyard. She stared at it until it moved away, and she just figured it was an animal. Until the figure returned, but this time it was closer, and she noticed it was a man. Jill began to panic and went around her whole house locking every door. She felt a little better doing this until the man started banging on the door. The man broke the glass, unlocked the door, and came inside. Jill watched in horror as the man walked towards her and said, "Don't be scared, pretty. We are going to have so much fun." The next morning, Jill's neighbor noticed her door was wide open and went over to check on her. But when she went inside, what she saw made her sick to her stomach. On the ground was Jill's dead, mutilated body, with a note on it that read, "This is the first of many." This is the scary story. This is how long you would survive drinking only different liquids, part 7. Up first is Tabasco. If you only drank Tabasco, you would survive for just 6 days. This is because Tabasco is not meant to be consumed by drinking, because it's meant to be put on your food. And this death would not be fun. Your internal organs will literally be on fire. Next up is nail polish remover. If you only drank nail polish remover, you would survive for just 5 hours. This is because nail polish remover contains acetone, which in high amounts is very deadly to humans. Long story short, your stomach will literally be dissolved and completely destroyed. This is proof that we aren't alone. Okay, so hundreds, if not thousands of people have claimed to see a UFO. But whenever they take a video, it always comes out blurry, raising the question that it's fake. But the video I'm about to show you shows a UFO flying right next to a plane. This is 100% real, and it's absolutely crazy. These is your gut-wrenching facts, part 1. Up first, due to the coronavirus outbreak, March 2020 was the first March without a school shooting in America since 2002. This is extremely scary, and when are these going to stop? Up next, in 2003, 2 men stole a parked Boeing 727 from the... This is the scary story, but I told you. There was a young girl named Jenny who went to the park every day. She always sat at the same bench with this woman who she always talked to. She was very old with a very dirty white dress, and the woman always told Jenny to never tell anybody that they were talking. Jenny never did, and she never thought about telling anybody before. But that night, Jenny told her mom about the woman on accident. The mom then got angry and yelled at her, saying never talk to strangers, and then sent Jenny to her room. That morning, Jenny woke up, and right when she walked out of her room, she saw her mom dead hanging from the ceiling, with her stomach completely cut open and her guts hanging out. She began to cry in panic, and started to look for her phone to call the police. But before she could find it, she saw the woman from the park standing in the hallway. She was covered in blood. She said, "Jenny, I told you not to tell anybody." She then grabbed Jenny and cut her stomach wide open. As Jenny was laying there dying, the woman started to rip out Jenny's insides while whispering, "I told you." This is the scary story. This might be the worst way somebody has ever died, part 6. Okay, so this is Ma Halan, and she's a 23-year-old girl who might have had the worst death. One day she was using her iPhone normally and just talking on it, like every single one of us does, when suddenly the phone electrocuted her, killing her instantly. Nobody knows how this happened, but it kind of makes me scared of iPhones. This might be the worst way somebody has ever died, part 6.
Oh my gosh. Like and subscribe if you got to. Oh no, the first YouTube short, but yeah. Like and subscribe in 3, 2, 1, and bye. Bye.